Let me ask you a question, okay? If your sales completely stopped for the next 30 days, would your business survive? I'm talking, no shipping, no sales, nothing, completely stagnant, okay? It's a kind of a scary, kind of a humbling thought. And it's a thought that has changed everything for me, because for years, yes, for years, I was chasing the next sale with my business. Hard too. I was chasing the next sale so hard. I never stopped to build something that could actually last, a business for the long term. Look, and when I finally made these 3 shifts, I stopped feeling burnt out. I started feeling in control of my business, in control of my life, in control of my path forward. Look, these are what I wish I knew 5 years ago. So, well, let's just jump right into it. Well, real quick, here's where I'm coming from, okay? My name is Jacob. Welcome to this channel. I've been running a full-time online reselling business almost going on a decade now. I sell on sites like eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, primarily secondhand used apparel. That is my business. It's been a growing, 6-figure business. And look, I started with nothing, but a phone. Started with some of my old clothes, a little grit, a little willingness to learn, but that was it. For the first few years, I was pretty much grinding nonstop. This was, I dropped out of school for this. I was listing every day, sourcing all the time, shipping like a madman. It was crazy. I was apparently doing everything right, everything that I was being taught on YouTube and whatnot, but I never actually felt like I was getting ahead or building something sustainable and big, something that could grow. It felt more like a true hustle than a business. And obviously you have to hustle to create a business. I understand that. And obviously I loved it. It's what I do for a living, but I was getting tired and a little discouraged. So I started asking myself these different questions. This is when I really started getting into reading business books and the classics. And I reference a ton of books on this channel. And this is what stemmed that curiosity for growth and knowledge. I was aspiring to be somebody who created something for the long term, implementing real systems, not just these quick tips and tricks and, stuff that just is fly by night. And, that's kind of the ethos of this channel. That's what I want to provide to you guys. Look, I am not here to sell you anything. I have nothing to sell. I don't have a course. I don't have a Patreon. It's a fairly small YouTube channel. I'm not gatekeeping anything. I'm here to earn my place on this YouTube channel by giving away as much value as I possibly can, and for free. And I take a lot of time out of my day to make these videos. This is all for free because I believe in kind of the old school principle that the more people I help, the more the world will help me, and that's my Scout's honor to you. So look, if you're getting something from these videos, I'd love if you hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me more than you know. Gives me a lot of encouragement, and seriously, thank you guys for giving this video a chance. So that's a little bit about me, my story, I guess my credibility, but let's actually talk about these 3 shifts that I implemented in my business that changed everything for me. Okay, these are 3 practical moves that you can make if you own a reselling business or really any business in general. I think this applies all across the board. I'm going to speak from the reselling angle because that's what I have built over the years. But the first tip number 1, is to separate your work from your growth. And I know this can be kind of an oxymoron, separate your work from your growth. But here's the thing, and this is something not really nobody's going to tell you, not all work is equal. Okay, there's, today's work, there's the work in the moment. So like for my business, it's shipping, it's listing, it's replying to customers, it's sending offers. Those are the things that keep my business in motion and the lights on. Okay, That's the work for today, but there's also growth, which is separate than work. There's like growth work, and that requires building systems, testing new, inventory sources, documenting processes and things that work in your business, creating, just creating content like on this channel, just sitting down and analyzing the numbers of your business, analyzing what works. If you never carve out time for that growth work, you'll just stay stuck in this, busyness trap, I'm busy, but I'm not getting anywhere. We've all had that feeling, just that's kind of the terminology for the rat race. You'll get stuck in that if you're not applying that growth work. And this mindset shift changed, how I plan my weeks. I started blocking off at least, one session a week for like these growth tasks. And that's how I really was able to start scaling my business, is I separated the growth from the actual day-to-day work. A real practical move that you could do for your business is just like do what I did. Set aside just a couple hours a week. Set aside like 2 hours a week. You're not focusing on the nitty-gritty shipping, listing work, where you're sitting down, you're looking at your numbers, you're figuring out ways to optimize your process, optimize your business, you're brainstorming new ideas. Sit down with pen and paper. That stuff actually works, and you will figure out and break through ways to grow your business. Okay, so that's tip number one. The second tip I wanna lay out for you, and I've talked about this briefly in the past, but you want to build systems for your business. Just you don't want to-do lists. You want systems. So if your business depends on you remembering what to do every single day, like a list, it's kind of fragile, in my opinion. The best move I have ever made was treating every repeating task as a process and a system for my business. I built out checklists for it. I literally have checklists on my wall behind me, systems for my business, like a listing flow. So I have a system for photos, titles, descriptions. I have schedules for how I treat customer service, offers, all that stuff, how I relist items for my business and treat old inventory, how I track my inventory in general. Everything is boiled down to a system where I don't have to think, I can just do, okay? It's literally second nature now. It's a system. I'm not sitting down making checklists of what I need to do every day. It has turned into second nature because of systems. My brain doesn't have to hold all these steps. I just follow the system. It's boring. Yeah, it's boring, but that's the point. It should be, and it works, okay? So another just practical thing you can implement is just pick a part of your business. Like if you own a reselling business like me, maybe it's listing. Write down every step you do to create a quality listing and then turn that into a repeatable checklist, and it'll become second nature if you just follow that checklist. Treat it like an assembly line, okay? Henry Ford had it right. The assembly line works, okay? So that's tip number 2, build systems, not to-do lists. The last tip I want to bring to you, tip number 3, is to think in multipliers, not in singles for your business. And this is a big one. This is a massive one. So early on, I thought every sale was a win and a step forward. And don't get me wrong, it is, okay? Short answer, yes, it is. But over time, I realized that if I wanted to grow, I had to start thinking in scale. What do I mean by that? So with my business, the early days, I started out just buying something I knew was valuable, reselling it online, okay? I had to break out of that mold and start sourcing in bulk and treating those singular units as a mass, not piece by piece, bulk, okay? And repeating that proven process that I proved with the piece by piece items over batches of items, turning one, just turning one into many, into multiples. That that really taught me how to think and scale for my business. And from there, I was able to reuse, listing templates and the checklists and just be able to work even faster in multiples instead of single units. And, a lot of times it's not about doing more work. It's about amplifying the work that already works, okay? Because you can apply the same amount of work that you did with the single item to multiple items, and it'll scale your business forward. Another practical thing you can implement from this is just take your most efficient process and task for your business and just ask yourself, how can I scale this? Can I batch it? Can I automate it? Can I outsource it? We live in a world with so many tools where you can do that with your business and it's not going to consume any more effort and time. So that's tip number 3, I suppose. Think in scale, think in multiples, not singles. So what will actually happen if you apply these 3 tips to your business? Well, number 1, and this is a big one, you will actually get some of your time back. Because time is so finite. It's so important that we have it. And not only will you get your time back, you'll get your energy and clarity back. You'll go from being reactive with your business, day by day, to being more strategic, where now you're week by week, instead of hustling day to day, you can start building layers over your business week to week. You'll go from being dependent on sales, like I used to be, okay, to building a full-fledged business, a full-fledged machine that creates them. Instead of being dependent on them, you are literally creating them. And it's a massive shift for your business. Look, most resellers never get to that level. Most business owners in general never get to that level. Not because they don't work hard, okay? If hard work was the sole factor, then there'd be a lot of people in this world that'd be ahead of me, okay? But it's because they never take the step back and look at what they're actually building. If you take these ideas seriously, separate, your work from your growth, treat them separate, build those systems and think in multipliers, you won't just make more money, you will build something that's worth keeping and owning for the long run. So let me know, what shift are you going to focus on this week with your business? I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Drop a comment below. Let me know. I read all of them. I respond to all of them, and I appreciate every single person who watches and interacts with this channel, both the criticism, both the support, all of it. So I guess that's it for today's video. I really hope this helped. My intentions with this channel is just to help every single person out there who wants to become an entrepreneur, who wants to free up their life, do something more rewarding with their life, because that's who I used to be. So that's it. That's my Scout's honor. I hope provided some value in today's video. If you're new to this channel, I'm Jacob. I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, be good to one another, and I'll see you then. Peace.